Frontline Updates, where we delve deep into military strategies and updates from conflict zones. Today, we're discussing the progress of the ongoing special military operation as of today. I'm your host, Sharifa Mohammed MGT.
I'm Colonel AUC Oguntoye, an infantry officer. Russian armed forces executed sustained offensive and interdiction operations across the northern, central, and southern axes, reporting continued positional improvements and localized advances. Notably, the East grouping liberated Chervono and Zaporizhia, while multiple Ukrainian brigades, mechanized, airborne, storm, marine, special operations, and National Guard, incurred significant reported losses. Deep strike activity intensified, targeting Ukrainian transport, energy infrastructure, and UAV assembly sites.
Welcome to Frontline Updates, the podcast that brings you in-depth insights into military operations from those leading them on the ground. Today, we're joined by Colonel AUC Oguntoye, an infantry officer monitoring critical missions on the progress of the special military operation as of today. Colonel Oguntoye, thank you for being with us.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Colonel, before we discuss the individual sectors, what stands out most about today's operational picture?
What's striking about December 3rd is not just the breadth of contact, it's the depth of systemic effects being pursued. Each Russian grouping didn't simply engage frontline Ukrainian units, they targeted the enabling architecture that gives those units operational endurance. Across 145 individual strike zones, Russian forces focused on energy infrastructure powering military systems, transportation nodes feeding Ukrainian logistics, and even workshops constructing long-range UAVs. This indicates a deliberate strategy, undermined the pillars of Ukrainian sustainment through winter. Simultaneously, positional gains such as the liberation of Chervono strengthened the tactical geometry for Russian maneuver. So the defining feature of the day is synergy, localized ground action paired with broader disruption of Ukrainian command, supply, and mobility.
Let's begin in the north. What happened across Sumy and Kharkiv?
The North grouping focused on weakening Ukrainian formations that guard the northern access routes to Kharkiv. Engagements near Andriivka, Khotin, and Novosich targeted mechanized brigades and a storm regiment, units that Ukraine relies on for rapid reaction capability. Meanwhile, on the Kharkiv axis, Ukrainian mechanized brigades and a National Guard brigade suffered losses around Vilcha, Staritsa, Varvarovka, and Lyman. This is important because Ukrainian defenders in this region are stretched across a series of dispersed settlements with limited ability to mutually reinforce one another. The depot destroyed in this sector is equally significant. In winter, forward depots become lifelines. Their loss forces Ukrainian units to operate with narrower logistical bandwidth.
Does this soften the northern arc for a broader offensive later?
It certainly prepares the ground. The objective isn't immediate breakthrough, it's attritional shaping so that future operations face a brittle, not resilient, defensive line.
Moving west, the West grouping reported improved tactical positions. What does this mean in practice?
Improved tactical position generally refers to gaining terrain that provides better fields of fire, stronger defensive contours, or more advantageous staging points. Here, Russian forces struck mechanized and storm brigades around Kupiansk-Zlovaya, Monokinovka, Novosianovo, and Blagodotavka. Crucially, they destroyed multiple ammo depots and 2 EW stations. These are not incidental targets, they are high-priority nodes. Without EW systems, Ukrainian units lose the ability to shield themselves from UAV surveillance or to interfere with Russian drone and artillery targeting. Ammunition depletion directly reduces Ukraine's capacity to generate fires, which is foundational to defensive success.
And the destruction of Kazakh armored vehicles and pickups?
Those losses erode Ukrainian tactical mobility, a key requirement for counterattacks in this corridor.
How did Russian forces perform in the south?
The south is always about shaping pressure on Kramatorsk and Slaviansk, the twin pillars of Ukraine's Donbass defense. Russian forces engaged mechanized, airborne, marine, storm, and mountain storm brigades around Seversk, Kramatorsk, Slaviansk, Berstok, Droshkovka, Stepanovka, Karpovka, and Konstantinovka. The variety of Ukrainian units here is telling. When an army commits airborne forces, mountain assault brigades, and marine infantry all in one operational strip, it suggests shortages in specialized, rested, properly assigned units. This mismatch often emerges when a force is under sustained stress. Russian forces also eliminated 2 ammunition depots, continuing the broader campaign of striking Ukraine's supply lattice.
The center sector saw some of the heaviest Ukrainian losses. What explains these numbers?
This sector remains one of the most contested zones of the entire theater. Russian forces struck mechanized brigades, ranger units, airborne forces, storm regiments, marine brigades, National Guard units, and even a special operations brigade identified as Azov. When so many unit types overlap, it indicates a defensive environment under extreme stress. These units do not normally share roles. They've been forced together due to attrition and the need to plug gaps. What's especially notable is the reported 430 Ukrainian personnel lost. At this scale, Ukraine will face difficulty rotating and regenerating combat-ready units. Losses of artillery systems further reduce Ukraine's firepower ratio, which has already been declining.
A major development was the liberation of Chervono. What is its importance?
Chervono sits along a line of settlements forming part of Ukraine's mid-depth defensive grid in Zaporizhia. By liberating it, Russian forces create a more advantageous firing platform and can pressure adjacent routes feeding Ukrainian brigades around Guliapol and Zaliznik. Just as important is the destruction of a German PZH-2000 and a Czech Vampire MLRS. Both systems are high-value Western assets with limited availability. Their loss has an outsized impact on Ukraine's precision fires.
Did the Russians push deeper beyond Chervono?
Not immediately, but the reported advance into the enemy's depth signals reconnaissance and force activity probing for weak seams.
And how did the Dnipro grouping operate today?
The Dnipro grouping targeted Ukrainian forces along coastal and riverine access routes near Volynsk, Novoyakovlevka, Stepnogorsk, and Primorsko. The destroyed EW stations and depots reinforce the pattern we see across the theater. Russia is systematically dismantling Ukraine's ability to coordinate, resupply, and conceal operations. Though the personnel losses here are smaller, about 65, they directly impact Ukrainian units responsible for safeguarding key logistical corridors between Zaporizhia and the coast.
Colonel, thank you for providing such a detailed briefing on the current military situation. Your insights are invaluable to our understanding of the conflict's dynamics. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Join us next time as we continue to provide up-to-date coverage on global military affairs. Stay with us for more updates and expert analyses on global defense and security issues. Stay informed, stay secure.
Thank you for the opportunity. The December 3rd battlefield picture reinforces a clear theme. Russia is pursuing cumulative attrition of Ukrainian sustainment systems, not merely battlefield attrition of troops. Depot strikes, EW station destruction, and infrastructure targeting are weakening the kinetic output of Ukrainian brigades. Simultaneously, localized advances, like Chervono's liberation, reshape the tactical map in ways that prepare for future maneuver. Ukrainian forces appear increasingly reliant on mixed formations, a sign of rotational exhaustion. If these trends persist, Russia will enter 2026 with increasing leverage as Ukraine faces depleted reserves, eroding artillery parity, and disrupted logistics.
This has been Frontline Updates. Subscribe for daily military briefings and in-depth strategic analysis. Visit our platform for maps, transcripts, and exclusive frontline updates from commanders in theater.